holiday greetings to you and yours at the end of 2022. I'm recording this on Christmas Eve, 2022, my yearly review. I've been doing it for several years, probably every year since I've had this podcast, and started back in 2015. And wow, how the time has flown. Even though I'm not here as often as I used to be, I'm still committed to doing these quarterly updates. And now it's time for not only the quarterly update for the end of 2022, but of the whole year, right? So let's get started. I usually follow the same format every time. I'm going to start by talking about wonderful things that I've accomplished and lessons that I've learned, memories, all of that. And everything is time-stamped. So if there's something you don't really care about, you can skip to something that maybe you do. So anyway, let's get going. First, let's talk about the new things that happened in 2022 that I'm very grateful for. First of all, I'll talk about my new job that I got in May, which was with CVS. It actually isn't like an employee job. I'm a contractor, but I'd be doing the same thing if I was an employee. And I've also gotten more and more opportunities just putting myself out there as a freelancer because I launched a new business, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Another thing that happened, actually three things that happened that I'm grateful for, was being able to travel outside the U.S. And I had postponed a trip to Cuba ever since 2019, multiple times. Finally got to visit in March. We talked about that on the podcast, the Come On Son podcast with my sister. I also went to Canada and Colombia. So 3 C's this year. And the first and last, Cuba and Colombia, were brand new, never had been to either one of those countries before. I'll talk about Colombia a little bit later as well. And then finally, also a part of that Colombia trip is a new relationship that I was not expecting at all, especially not like the second day after I arrived. But my heart was open to receive. And again, that's just a little teaser for a little bit later if you want to hear about my Colombia trip. Next, a hard lesson that I learned. Learned this lesson just a couple of months ago. In the summertime, I had decided that I wanted to become a real estate investor. And I didn't, because lots of things happened. I think I was a little bit late with trying to refinance my home and, the things going on with the Fed and the interest rates and all that jazz. And I hired someone unwittingly who scammed me, someone off of a real estate Facebook group called Real Estate Rookie. And hello, if you're in Real Estate Rookie, either you're giving rookies advice or you are one, or you're going to try to scam people like this person did. So I'm suing them, and we're actually supposed to be going to court next week, but it's going to be virtual, and it's actually going to be postponed because of some paperwork and other issues. But anyway, I didn't do my due diligence. I hired a private money lender for a loan so that I could become a real estate investor, but my research wasn't thorough enough. I didn't ask enough questions, and most of all, I didn't listen to my gut. So I'll let you know what goes on with that during my next quarterly update, since I don't know the outcome yet. Next, let's talk about some happier things, some more fun things that I did this year that I'm proud of. Of course, I mentioned the new job. I'm proud of that. It's never super, super easy to get a new job. And then after that, I also this summer started my FIRE journey. If you don't know, FIRE stands for Financial Independence and Retire Early. And there's a really nice book, really short book called Choose FI, that'll give you a great overview. You can either listen or read the book within an hour or so. Really, really helpful. And it's based on the podcast. I bought some programs from some YouTubers like Our Rich Journey, Rashida Dow, and Stephanie Perry. And those programs are helping me with my FIRE journey and with my desire to start to make a plan to leave the U.S. I talk about why I want to leave the U.S. In a previous episode. Just check my quarterly update for, I don't know if it was August or September, because all the things that happened with the Supreme Court and all this other stupid stuff with the politics in the U.S. are just getting on my last nerve. And then another thing, I started an official freelance writing company, launched a website in, it was 2/22/22. It was February 22nd. So it's called Rewrites. Get it? Rewrites. Rewrites LLC. And along with my voiceover work, which of course is also independent, both can help me keep earning money independently from almost anywhere in the world. That is part of the FIRE plan. I did a race last month. November, I went to the Outer Banks, the Nags Head, North Carolina area, and did an 8K. Kind of sad because I didn't have a medal at the end, but they ended up mailing me some because they ran out. So that was cool. I just do one race a month. I was hoping to be able to do the Christmas Story race in Cleveland, Ohio, but they still haven't brought it back since the pandemic. So maybe next year I'll just check back in about 6 months and see what's going on with that. Overall, I had a total of 9 new clients across voiceover and UX. So really proud of that. Much fewer than what I said last year, which was 23, but I know why that was. It was because I wasn't putting myself out there a lot with the voiceover work. I let that take a backseat a little bit to try to get this freelance writing going. And I believe in putting focus when you're trying to start something up. So I'm not regretting that. It's just the reason why the number's lower. My next topic is my favorite memories. And so this is where I'm going to talk about Colombia a bit because I've literally been back for a week. So haven't really talked about it with anybody except a few close friends. So I came home knowing that I now have a new relationship, a new boyfriend 2,000 miles away who speaks another language. He doesn't even speak English and I don't speak fluent Spanish. So it's really interesting. So this is why you got to stay tuned if you're at all curious. Now, I started off the trip going with a group. So I am a member of a travel group called El Camino Travel. It's an all women's group. I'll talk about them a little bit more later, but I on purpose started off the first week with the group knowing that I was going to stay a month to get my bearings in the country, get some tips, talk to some people that I knew I could communicate with, and then go from there and feel a little more confident on those following 3 weeks. My favorite things about that, well, the first half of the group trip was in Cartagena and the second half was in Medellin. So my favorite things about our days in Cartagena were the salsa dancing, and that's where I met my boyfriend, a tour of the walled city. We had a boat ride via Isla Bella to this small island called Islas de Rosario. And on the boat ride there, I met one of my birthday twins. I already know quite a few people who have a birthday on the same day as me, which is this year, the day before Thanksgiving. And in 2023, it will be on Thanksgiving. And so now I got a new travel buddy there because she and I clicked. And then I also enjoyed the street food tour as well. Like, if you know me, you know I love to eat. I love food. So yeah. When we were in Medellin, I would say my favorite part was going to Comuna 13, but I also really, really enjoyed the day where we went to Guatape, and we were really close to El Peñón, and we just have lovely, beautiful pictures. I've got a whole like vlog thing going on. Well, video, I'll say video because it really isn't a vlog. I'm not like talking all through it. That is linked in the show notes as well as in my blog about this trip. The first thing I'll say is just a little bit about the weather in all these places, because obviously it's South America. It's much hotter than places in North America, except maybe Mexico. Maybe it's hotter than Mexico. I don't know, but it's definitely below the equator, right? So Cartagena is stupid hot, okay? Humid all the time. I believe when I was there in November and December, it wasn't as bad as it is all throughout the year, but it's still stupid hot. Like, don't misunderstand me, okay? I was talking to my roommate for the group. We were staying in a hostel together, sharing a room. And I noticed something that she also agreed with she said happened to her, which is even though we were all sweating profusely and drinking lots of water, we weren't going to the bathroom very much. You know, it was really weird. Like, I could go all day long without having to pee. And I don't think that's a good thing, but I'm just wondering if it's because we were sweating so damn much. I don't know. So I also visited the cities of Palenque and Barranquilla, which are 1 and 2 hours away from Cartagena, respectively. And those climates were the same. Medellin is called the city of the eternal spring for a reason. It really does feel like spring all the time, year round. They only have 2 seasons. They have a sunny season and a rainy season. And in the 10 days that I was there, most days it was sunny, but there were occasional blasts of rain that really didn't last long. They didn't last for more than, I think the longest rain that I experienced might have been an hour, and then it was okay again. As far as the temperature, not very humid. The temps rarely cracked about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. And I think that's maybe partly because of the mountains mitigating that humidity so that there wasn't much. It was very, very pleasant to be outside in Medellin. And Guatapé was lovely and beautiful as well. Now I'm going to get into some more nitty gritty a bit about this trip, my whole trip, not just the group trip, but the whole trip. And I'm not going to go blow by blow with everything because I do cover it in the blog, but there might be some things that I want to say here that are not in the blog. And I know everybody's not going to read all of that. So here we go. On day 1, I left early. I had to connect in Miami. There's just no way for where I live in Virginia that I'm going to be able to get a direct flight. It's not happening. Even if I was in DC, it would not be direct. I'm not sure. Maybe New York might be different, Atlanta, but no, I had to connect in Miami. And it wasn't bad. It was 2.5 hour flights. So that's 5 hours right there. And then you add in the time in between and all the waiting and stuff. So it was a long day. First flight was at 6:30 a.m. And then I arrived in Cartagena around 1-ish p.m. So, and then you figure I got up at 3 a.m. So I would say almost 12 hours total travel time, getting from one place to the other. Because when I arrived, that first day that I was there, I actually met a YouTuber at dinner, Shan Booty. If you don't know her, her name is Shannon Budrum. And she's been on YouTube like for over a decade. I've like watched her journey from her being introduced to me because I was a subscriber of Shameless Maya. And so just going from there and being able to talk to her in person, her and her husband, that was cool. The second day, we went salsa dancing. And that is a wonderful, I was already anticipating how fun it was going to be because I love to dance, but it was a little different from my experience of doing the salsa lessons in Cuba because for the salsa dancing in Cuba, it was like maybe a 1 hour class or whatever. The salsa dancing lasted a few hours and we went to like 3 or 4 different places to dance. And one of those locations is where I met my boyfriend because he was driving our shuttle and he invited me to dance. And it didn't happen right then and there while we were dancing, but later on down the line, we were able to connect. And meeting him and connecting with him changed the course of the trip because I had planned to spend the majority of this month in Medellin and decided, you know what, I'm going to take a chance and see where this goes. So I ended up cutting Medellin short and going back to Cartagena for my last 2 weeks and spending some time with him. And even though it was stupid hot and I didn't care for the humidity, I just said, you know what, I will kick myself if I don't see where this goes, if I don't at least try. I feel safe. I think I'm going to be okay. My family knows where I'm at if I'm not okay. So I'm just going to go for it. And I'm really glad I did. He really helped me with coordinating a lot of things, getting personal things that I wanted done, arranging a tour for me so that I could experience more of the Afro-Colombian culture. But I'll tell you about some of the other things that we did with the group. Not only did we visit that island, Islas de Rosario, we also did some weaving, we did some drumming, we sampled the street food, and it was just a wonderful time. We went to a coffee farm called Corazón de León, and that was wonderful. Our guide was an 18-year-old student, and I mean, he spoke English really well, and he was really well-spoken and just really, really good at teaching us about what coffee is really supposed to be, how it's made, where Colombia ships their coffee, just all the things. So between Corazón de León and Urbania, that was a great way to learn about coffee for real. So if you're a coffee snob, go to the best place in the world for coffee, Colombia, and take this tour and learn all the things. And there will be a link to all of this stuff. The blog, the vlog video, all that jazz is linked in the show notes. so you can get all the details. I'm not going to spend the next 30 minutes talking about the trip, but I am just really, really thrilled. And I'm going back really soon because I got a man down there, y'all. So I will be back again in February. I've already booked my arrangements. And so when I do my quarterly update, I'll be able to talk about anything special that happens when I return, because the Barranquilla Carnival takes place in mid-February this year. And I'm thinking about going to that. It's like 4 or 5 days. So I want to visit there, which it's only 2 hours away from Cartagena anyway. So yeah, I'll have a lot more stuff for you in the next quarterly update. Now I'll wrap up by talking about what I am looking forward to in 2023, right after I revisit what I said last year about what I hope to do in 2022. So last year, in case you don't remember, didn't hear it, whatever, wanted to take some trips, wanted to do the Cuba for real, wanted to do Colombia for real. And I also said I wanted a job with benefits, which now thinking about my goals of becoming independent is unlikely. I've got a new fire focus. I want to do more freelance. So any job that I take would not be able to require me to work within the States year round, because I'm not going to. I wanted a loving, compatible partner. I have that without even trying. Thank you, Lord. I reached my goal weight. That's another thing I said. And then said I wanted to speak at Mom 2.0. It was a conference that was postponed twice, but they just kept on ignoring my application. So the hell with it. If you can't stay in touch with the speakers you already committed to in 2019 and 2020, then, have a great event, but I'll never support you again. And then I did speak at the UX Writers Conference virtually in February. So was able to accomplish most of those things that I talked about a year ago. Now for 2023, I am slowly growing my client base, want to continue that whole freelance thing. And I just thought of something. If you are interested in seeing what's possible, go to YouTube and look for the channel called CNBC Make It. It's part of CNBC, but it's a separate YouTube channel. They've profiled a lot of people that have managed to retire early in their 30s, 40s, and you can see what's possible. Places I want to go in 2023 include Mexico, Minneapolis, my only city or location that's in the States. I just didn't do it this year, so I just rolled it over. Really want to see the Prince Museum. And there's also a confab, the very last confab conference in Minneapolis is happening in May. So hopefully I can go then. It won't be cold and I can really meet some people in person that I've never met before. And then I'm traveling again with El Camino Travel to Egypt for Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving Day will be on my birthday next year. And I've already booked that. And then I'm going to be going back to Colombia frequently, as I mentioned earlier. So the El Camino Travel Group is an all-women's group. Anyone that identifies as female can be a member and travel. And it only costs $99 a year. They fully plan and execute group trips to about maybe 10 different locations or so. So as I mentioned, I'm going to go to Egypt and I might go to Oaxaca, Mexico as well during the Day of the Dead in October. We're going to see how that plays out because right now they don't have their schedule for the full year posted on their website. But I had such a wonderful experience and made 10 new friends on this trip to Colombia this time. And so what I've done in the show notes, I've listed a link where you can join El Camino Travel if you're female and get $100 off your first booking. All you have to do is find a trip you like, book it, and list my full name in the referral. They're going to ask you how you heard about them. List Doree Allen Nieves. And once they verify my status that I'm still a member in good standing, then they will take $100 off the balance of your trip because the deposits for these trips are only $500. They used to be half. So if you had, a $5,000 trip, you were required to pay $2,500 at first. And that's a barrier for a lot of people. So they finally updated it as of Black Friday this year. Deposits for any of their trips are only $500. So once you do that, list my name from the referral code, they'll take $100 off of your remaining balance. And then finally, the last thing I'll say about what I hope to do in 2023, and I'm super motivated now after this Colombia trip, is to improve my Spanish. I am interested in visiting many Latin American countries, and I really need to take my Spanish to the next level. My boyfriend said that, his English is about a 0, but my Spanish is about a 5. So I don't really have anything to feel bad about, but I know I can do better. And ever since my husband died, I don't have daily access to a native Spanish speaker. Apps and notes are good for learning languages, and that works for some people. But for my learning style and the barriers that I've had, like, having access to a native speaker at all times to do conversational Spanish, I've decided to enroll in a Spanish curriculum that lasts at least a few months because I know I need that accountability from other humans. Not sure where exactly yet. I know there's a plethora of schools to choose from. It won't be a university program, but it'll be something where either I do it at home virtually or I go back to Colombia and learn it in person. And maybe I can even get like a student visa and stay a little bit longer than tourists can. But whatever I do, I'll let you know where I land in my next quarterly update. Thank you for listening. Thank you for still being committed and subscribed here, even though I'm not here frequently. I really do appreciate all my longtime listeners, and I hope that you and your family have the best holiday season and have a wonderful start to your 2023. Take care.